Dumelang, welcome to Face the Nation. My name is Clement Manyatela. Great to have you with us here on SABC News. On the show tonight, why is there a back and forth about the 121 dockets that were initially investigated by the Political Killings Task Team? Just last week, the police commissioner took them from his deputy, Shadrack Sibiya's office, and sent them back to the task team in KwaZulu-Natal. That's despite the task team having been disbanded on instruction of the police minister Senzo Mchunu, and despite these dockets being a subject of the Madlanga inquiry. The commissioner seems to have now been under pressure to reverse that decision. He and the acting police minister, Firoz Cachalia, have decided the dockets will be sent to the inquiry instead. What does this mean? We speak to Athlenda Mathe, who speaks on behalf of the National Police Commissioner. Also on the show, did the Department of Social Development spend 1 million rand on a trip to New York for the Deputy Director General for Welfare Services? The Sunday Times reported that a week into her new job, the Deputy DG blew more than 1 million rand on his trip at taxpayers' expense, staying at the priciest hotels for more than 2 weeks and spending almost 200,000 rand on her flight. We're going to get some clarity from the DG at the Social Development Department, Peter Nechipale. And then later, why is the ANC chairperson in Limpopo, Stanley Mathabatha, stepping aside from his position? He has cited the violation of organizational principles during some regional conferences as part of the reason why he's stepping aside. But if really the conferences have been marred by problems and disputes, why hasn't the ANC leadership intervened? ANC Limpopo PEC member Machaka speaks to us. But first, my comment. So there's more drama involving the 121 dockets that were being investigated by the Political Killings Task Team in KwaZulu-Natal. The acting police minister, Firoz Cachalia, and the National Police Commissioner, Fannie Masemola, have now agreed that the dockets will be submitted to the Madlanga inquiry as opposed to be sent back to the task team. Remember last week we spoke about the decision the police minister made to send the dockets back to the task team. That decision has clearly infuriated the police minister and the president. And we spoke about what the police commissioner said at the time and why he felt there was a need for these dockets to be sent to the task team. Now, there have been some concerns as well that have been raised around these particular dockets, right? The concern from the president and the acting police minister was that the decision by the commissioner to move the dockets back to the task team could undermine the work of the Commission of Inquiry into Corruption and Political Interference in the Criminal Justice System. Because remember, part of the inquiry's job is to look into the work of the task team and the decision to disband it, and whether the task team did its work successfully or if it was a law unto itself and mismanaged funds as previously claimed. These are dockets that were initially investigated by the Political Killings Task Team, which was disbanded in December on that instruction from Senzo Mchunu. And after that disbandment, the dockets were removed from the task team to the Deputy Commissioner Shadrack Sibiya's office. So now moving the dockets when the inquiry is still yet to be investigated may be seen as undermining the process. And that's why the president and the acting police minister were upset. But is it really? Because the police must still continue with their work even while the inquiry does its work, right? The president indicated at the time that that decision that was taken by the National Commissioner could be seen as undermining the actual work of this commission. But the decision was taken, and the question that has to be asked is whether or not this doesn't hinder the work of the SAPS. Now, we spoke to Dr. de Kock last week on the show about the consequences of these dockets going up and down and whether or not that compromises on its integrity.
I think it's just going back to where it belongs. And I'm just worried that it's now news. It's actually news that this docket is going away because I don't know how it's going to be transported, when it's going to be transported. I'm a little bit worried about that, because that's our operational issue again.
Okay.
These are highly sensitive dockets, and I don't know what can happen.
And of course, while you may understand that the task team is at the center of the allegations made by General Mkhwanazi, but the work of the police also need to continue. I mean, if there are dockets out there that are sitting idle in the Deputy Commissioner's office, who is now suspended, and some of those dockets had instructions to arrest suspects as claimed by General Mkhwanazi, then surely you can't wait for an inquiry to finish its job before those arrests are made. The inquiry can do its work while the police also continue with their work. So should the investigations in those dockets be halted because there is an inquiry? Doesn't that compromise the efforts to prosecute criminals that are being investigated? I mean, justice is getting delayed the more the dockets sit and gather dust. And that's precisely the point that this policing expert, Dr. Chris de Kock, was raising concerns around the safety of these dockets. Now, the other issue we need to be careful of here is political interference, because it's clear that the commissioner, well, at least from where we're standing, has been put under pressure to reconsider his decision. The president and the minister expressed their unhappiness about his decision to send the dockets back to the task team. But isn't that seen as interference from the president and even the acting minister? Because they are effectively raising displeasure about an operational matter, which is not where they should play. But also, the National Commissioner himself can be taking decisions that are making matters worse. Remember when he decided to suspend his deputy, Shadrack Sibiya, ahead of this inquiry, which of course is well within his right to do so, but the president, when he announced this inquiry, said the commission must be the one that decides who must be suspended in the SAPS pending the outcome of the inquiry. And he was trying to avoid a situation where people are going to fight each other with suspensions. So isn't that an interference with the work of the commission from the side of the National Police Commissioner, especially given that the president gave the inquiry that latitude to decide who must be suspended, but the National Commissioner went ahead and suspended Shadrack Sibiya ahead of the inquiry? I mean, this is a critical time in our country. South Africans are concerned about their safety. When top cops are busy fighting each other, Minister Firoz Cachalia was meant to help stabilize things, but it seems he doesn't enjoy a collegial relationship with the National Police Commissioner, and this doesn't help the situation. Remember, Minister Cachalia requested the National Commissioner to furnish him with a detailed report on the task team. And the Commissioner had not done so by last week Friday, which is why the acting minister had to release a statement expressing unhappiness with the Commissioner's decision. So in a joint statement now, you've got Firoz Cachalia and Fannie Masemola saying they have met and they said they're now committed to a professional, collegial and respectful relationship. So the dockets will be sent to the Madlanga Commission. The question is, are they sending pictures of those dockets? Or are they actually sending the original dockets, right? And is that being done to ensure the integrity of these dockets and to allow the commission to investigate thoroughly? Their statement, the joint statement, said that where there are matters in these dockets requiring urgent further criminal investigations or prosecution, the SAPS will advise the commission accordingly. The SAPS will also act with speed where the commission refers new matters to it for urgent investigation in line with its terms of reference. So here's the question we're asking you tonight. What do you make of this decision to send the dockets to the Madlanga inquiry? Because this effectively sort of reverses the decision of the National Police Commissioner, unless we're not talking about the original dockets here, right? Because the National Commissioner sent the dockets to the KZN task team already. And given that the President and the Acting Minister, Firoz Cachalia, expressed unhappiness about this operational matter, is that political interference, or they are just making sure that they safeguard the integrity of the dockets, since they are central to the Madlanga inquiry? You can send us a WhatsApp voice note right now on 078-459-1897. Remember to tell us your name and your surname and where you're sending the voice note from. And please keep it at 30 seconds. Alternatively, you can send us an X on @FaceTheNation SABC. We'll be back after the break. Welcome back. Now, Police Minister Professor Firoz Cachalia and the National Police Commissioner General Fannie Masemola have agreed to submit the 121 dockets linked to the political killings task team to the Madlanga Commission. This follows an announcement by the National Police Commissioner last week to return the dockets to the task team in KZN. Brigadier Athlenda Mathe speaks on behalf of the SAPS and the Commissioner and joins us now via video link. Athlenda, thank you so much for making time for us. Good evening.
A very good evening to you and to your viewers.
Why has the National Police Commissioner agreed to now these dockets being sent to the Madlanga inquiry? What was the rationale behind the decision last week for them to go back to the political killings task team?
Well, I think there's a misunderstanding or misinterpretation of the statement on your side. I can confirm that all 121 dockets are in KZN. They have been sent back to the political killings task team. The teams are already on the ground. They have started working on the dockets. And let me also clarify that the Madlanga Commission has not pronounced on whether they would require the dockets. As and when they submit that they would require the dockets to be presented before the commission, the dockets will be made available. You'll recall that the National Commissioner announced that the original dockets have been sent back in the best interest of ensuring that the administration of justice continues. Obviously, thinking of the families, the grieving families of those that have been murdered. Of the 121 dockets, 107 are murder-related cases of councillors, party members, traditional leaders. So when the National Commissioner took the decision to take back the dockets, he did so in the interest of justice because he felt that keeping the dockets longer in Pretoria would delay justice. Them gathering dust will not assist us in any way because the work has to continue. You'll recall that work had already begun before the dockets were sent to Pretoria. So it is just for the administration of justice and for the families, most importantly, to get the necessary closure.
Okay. So the president was clearly unhappy about the decision that the National Police Commissioner took last week, given the acting police minister, Firoz Cachalia. The statement that the two released, the commissioner and the acting minister today, says the political killing task team dockets will be submitted to the commission in the format that they require. Can you help us understand that line in the statement? Because if you're saying that the inquiry hasn't indicated whether they will need these dockets, why then would the acting minister and the commissioner say in the statement that these dockets will be submitted to the commission in the format that they require?
So it is a joint statement between the minister and the National Commissioner where they are once again reiterating their commitment, their cooperation and support to the Madlanga Commission. What they are merely highlighting there is that should the Commission require or request the dockets will be made readily available. But for now, the dockets are with the political killings task team and the work has begun in terms of continuing with investigations.
But the statement doesn't say should the dockets be required, Athlenda. I mean, they could say that if they wanted to say that. The statement is very clear. This line says the political killings task team dockets will be submitted. Nowhere in the statement does it say, oh, should that be a requirement? It says they will be submitted to ensure the integrity of the dockets and to enable the commission to thoroughly investigate all these matters related to the terms of reference.
I'm still repeating what I said to say it's a commitment from both principals that they will be cooperating with the commission, whether the dockets, the original dockets, are in KZN with the team or not. Remember, the National Commissioner announced that we have made copies of each docket, but he felt that we cannot delay justice any longer by them gathering dust. He felt that we could actually be sued by all those families who are waiting for answers to see justice for their loved ones and so on. So he did that in the best interest, and he consulted with our legal department to say what is the best decision that can be taken. And it was then agreed upon that let the work continue, because we cannot wait for the commission to conclude its work. Let the investigations continue so that perpetrators can be arrested. Because when you look at the cases, 107 are murder, about 4 are attempted murder, 2 about pointing of firearm, 2 conspiracy to commit murder. So the bulk of cases are murder-related cases. So those are quite serious cases that need not be left alone. We need to ensure that the work continues so that we can provide the necessary closure to the families. But what is encouraging also, Clement, is that the Minister and the National Commissioner, they have met and they have ironed out, obviously, their concerns. And we also respected the concerns raised by the President as well as the Minister. And that is why the two principals have met. And the decision was, let us go forward in ensuring that we continue with the work, but also to ensure that we strengthen the police service.
Okay, so when were these tasks, these dockets removed from the political killings task team? So when the instruction to disband the task team was issued by Senzo Mchunu and then Shadrach Sibiya, who claims that he was following the instructions from the Office of the National Commissioner, and that's an issue, of course, that will be dealt with at the inquiry. But when were those dockets removed from the task team, the political killings task team, to Shadrach Sibiya's office?
Well, you'll recall that the political task team began its work as far back as July 2018. And when the dockets were removed from the political killings task team, I think it was much earlier this year.
So why is the National Police Commissioner only realizing the urgency of this matter now, in September?
I don't think it's a matter of realizing the urgency of the matter. I wouldn't want to dwell into the nitty-gritties because those nitty-gritties are going to be ventilated before the commission. I think what we owe South Africans is what are we doing going forward to ensure that we do not delay justice, that these dockets are worked on, investigated, and then the perpetrators are arrested. That's what we owe South Africans. As to who, when, what, those are some of the issues that will come out during the Commission of Inquiry. So I wouldn't want to get into those aspects for now.
Yeah, I just want to understand, though, why, because justice has been delayed since March. So when the dockets were removed and taken to Shadrach Sibiya's office, why didn't the National Police Commissioner act in March already and say, I don't agree with this, take those dockets back? Why only now is he issuing that instruction?
Well, I think those answers will then come out clearly during the commission, because I'm sure the Madlanga Commission would also want to know why the dockets had been sitting at the head office in Pretoria and not being investigated. So some of those concerns and those issues will be raised before the Madlanga Commission, and I'm not in any position to answer on that aspect.
Okay, I just wanted to put that question out there because it is weird if the National Police Commissioner claims now in September that there's urgency and there's a need here for justice not to be delayed, when in fact justice has been delayed since March, and he hasn't fought for the dockets to leave Shadrach Sibiya's office to go back to the political killings task team. He's only doing that now in September when justice has already been delayed. But as you say, we'll have to wait for his answers when he appears at the inquiry. What do we know about this work of the task team, Athlenda? Do we know if the work that it's done has been successful? Because there have been some concerns about mismanagement of funds, the task team being a law unto itself. Have these concerns appeared before the desk of the National Commissioner?
Well, what we do have is a report on the work that has been done by this task team. You'll recall that when it was established in July 2018, its mandate was to investigate political killings, especially in the province of KZN, where they were rife. But as time went by and when they started registering their successes, they then expanded their mandate to also include other high-profile cases, also traditional leaders that have been murdered. And that's why I indicated that of the 121 dockets, 107 are murder, and it doesn't only include party members, councillors, it also includes traditional leaders that were murdered. And on the issue of the agency of the National Commission, I think the National Commissioner from day one, he has been very vocal to say from the onset, he was against the disbandment of this particular task team. He didn't sign any letter confirming or agreeing to the disbandment of the task team. But like I said, I wouldn't want to get too much into detail because those are some of the issues that will be ventilated before the commission. But I think the successes of the task team are there for everyone to see. They've been handling, I think, so far 333 dockets. They've convicted about more than 130 accused, most of them hitmen, hit orderers, and so on. You look at the Cindy Somagaga murder case, the shooter, the hitman, has already been convicted to 25 years in imprisonment, and others are still waiting. You look at the Alfred Nzo, local municipality engineer who was killed. Some of his colleagues, businessmen, have been already convicted as well for his murder, and ANC councillor as well in KZN. The recent arrests of the DA councillors, murderers as well. So their work is really out there for everyone to see. And I mean, if you're talking about 130 accused, convicted already, and the majority of them hitmen, it does tell you that there is light at the end of the tunnel, and there is something positive that is coming out of the task team.
Yeah. So does the National Commissioner respect the authority of the acting police minister? And I'm asking that question because I don't understand why the National Commissioner, for instance, hasn't responded to a request by Minister Cachalia to furnish him with a detailed report on the task team. I think the minister made a request and the commissioner had not done so even by Friday, which is why the minister then released a statement even expressing unhappiness with the commissioner's decision. I see what they say in the statement here about committing to having a collegial and respectful relationship. But when the acting minister is asking for information about the political killings task team and the National Police Commissioner is not sending it, that makes you question whether these people are actually do have a collegial and professional working relationship.
Well, from where I'm sitting, the minister and the National Commissioner, they are working quite well. They've got a very professional relationship. The minister has his own mandate. The National Commissioner is in charge of the police service. He manages and commands operations and the whole police service and so on. And the National Commissioner reports to the minister. What is important is that we are going forward. We're not going to go back to say this was not done, this was not done. I think their meeting is a step in the right direction, and the joint statement really does highlight the commitment and the dedication to working together, because we are all here for South Africans. We are not here for ourselves. First priority is the safety and security of South Africans, and that is why we need to unite and work together and go forward.
And I wonder if the unity is there. But thanks for speaking to us. Athlenda Mathe speaks on behalf of the SAPS. Also on behalf of the National Police Commissioner, talking to us about this joint statement that has been released by the National Commissioner and the acting Minister Firoz Cachalia. There are some questions there. I mean, the statement they released is very clear. The line says, the political killings task team dockets will be submitted to the Commission in the format that they require. But now Athlenda Mathe is telling us that, no, they basically agree that should the Commission require those documents, then those documents will be sent to the inquiry. But the question also is, the statement says they will be sent in the format that they require. Does that mean that if they want original dockets, They have to take those dockets from the political killing stars team and send them to the inquiry, or are they going to use the copies that the National Police Commissioner says they've made about these same dockets? We'll wait and see. Stay with us here on Face the Nation. Welcome back. So the question we've been asking you tonight is what you make of the decision by both the National Police Commissioner and the acting Police Minister Firoz Cachalia to somehow send the dockets that were initially investigated by the political killing stars team to the Madlanga inquiry. Well, Athlenda Mathe has just told us that that's not really what has been decided. She says that the dockets remain with the KZN political killing stars team, but she says that should the inquiry request them, those dockets will be made available. The question is, will they be made available in their original form, or are they going to give the commission their copies that they've made of those dockets? Some of the tweets that have come through, Mohale says, "Hi, I believe this decision demonstrates accountability and a deliberate effort to address long-standing concerns regarding interference and the credibility of investigations. It represents a significant step towards restoring public trust." Dennis says the decision to submit the dockets to the Madlanga Commission is to ensure accountability and transparency in the investigation of political killings. The outcome of the Commission's inquiry will likely provide clarity on the handling of these cases and potential wrongdoing. Bono says that's a good decision by both the Minister and the National Commissioner. These dockets will form part of the evidence to help uncover the truth by investigating thoroughly the allegations by the KZN Police Commissioner, General Mkhwanazi. We also have some of your WhatsApp voice notes that have come through responding to this very matter of what you make of the decision that both the Minister, Acting Minister of Police, and the National Police Commissioner have taken, and what you really think will be the impact of these dockets at the inquiry, especially because they are central really to the work of the Madlanga Commission, because at the very core is that there was political interference on the part of the minister in as far as the work of this task team is concerned. Here's what some of you have said on the WhatsApp line.
Good evening, Clement. Good evening. Tabiso from Chakovzal Richie. Just to start with that particular issue, we don't even know if it's the original dockets. Where was this dockets all along? They've gathered dust, and some of them, they might have been influenced by these powerful people. So to send it to the commission might bring some light to it. But let's hope a thorough investigation will be done at a particular commission. Thank you very much. Danko.
Hi, this is Kulegani Nzimande from Peter Maritzburg in KZN. This is very scary to see all these things that are unfolding right before our eyes. So scary, especially because it's involved top officials. So we as community were not safe, but we hope this decision is the right one, and we are taking the right direction as a country.
Good evening, Clement, as well as your viewers. Miki Maraba from Kronstadt, Free State Province. Clement, there is no smoke without fire. That's what I can say regarding topic of tonight. There is no smoke at all without fire.
Well, thank you very much for all of your inputs on Twitter and on the WhatsApp line. Let's move to this now. The ANC's Limpopo chairperson, Stanley Mathabatha, has stepped aside from his role in the ANC due to processes followed by the Vhembe and the Waterberg regional conferences. Mathabatha has cited unethical behaviour, misconduct and a decline in ANC values as reasons for his decision. Jimmy Machaka is the ANC Limpopo PEC member, speaks on behalf of the organization in that province and joins us now. Thank you so much for making time for us, Jimmy. Good evening.
Good evening to you and good evening to all your listeners.
Before the chair of the ANC in Limpopo took this decision to step aside, did he give the top leadership heads up?
At the level of the Provincial Executive Committee, we have not been taken into confidence before the provincial chair makes such a decision. So as the PC, the decision came as a shock. However, be that it may, we are comforted by the fact that he did not only make this decision, but he wrote to the top party structures at the national level. And ourselves as a provincial executive committee, we can confirm that we have been furnished with a copy of the letter where he is indicating that he's stepping aside. But you will notice in terms of the letter that he's directing it to the top national leadership of the ANC, and that alone constrain us as the provincial executive committee to engage on the contents of the letter. And it is for that reason that we will await guidance from the national leadership on how to deal with the matter after it gets processed.
Has he raised with the PEC the issues that he cited in this letter that he directed to the national leadership?
Look, like we've said, the issues without engaging into the merits and the demerits thereof is that the Waterberg Regional Conference has only concluded its business today during the midday. And as the PC, we are awaiting a report from deployees who are deployed to Waterberg on how processes relating to conferences unfolded. So, and we never had a PEC meeting in between. In respect of Vhembe, you will notice that post the conference, there was a dispute that was lodged by the aggrieved members. And the Secretary General of the ANC has already confirmed that the team has done the work. A report has been completed and signed off, and it will be presented to the leadership in due course.
I think that's from what I have heard from some leaders in the province is that one of the things that aggrieved him is that, yes, there's a task team that was brought in to look at the issues that have been raised, but there's still no report that was somehow presented. So people have been left hung, not knowing what actually are the matters that the task team picked up and what the solutions will be.
Indeed, the task team report is not yet made available to us as the Provincial Executive Committee, but you would have heard the Secretary General of the ANC, Comrade Fikile Mbalula, last week when he addressed media. He did confirm that the task team report is now being completed and is on his table. What is left is for the matter to be presented to the ANC official and subsequently to the National Working Committee. That alone then confirms that the work of the task team has reached finality. All perhaps he ought to have done is perhaps to wait for what becomes the outcomes of the task team and whether the leadership will endorse the outcome of the task team report or not.
And he's decided to really take this decision before the matter has reached finality. Some of the issues that he cites are quite significant and concerning. I mean, unethical behaviour, misconduct, a decline in ANC values. Those are some of the reasons for his decision to step aside. If this really is what's been happening at regional conferences, and I don't know if you've picked up any issues as the PEC, but if you have you intervened as the provincial leadership?
You will notice that matters relating to regional conferences that have taken place in Pietermaritzburg region, Norman Mashawani and Vhembe, post these conferences, concerns were raised, but they were raised with the national leadership of the ANC. The national leadership of the ANC is a listening organization. They've set up a task team to look into this matter. Now the task team's work is done. What we can confirm to structures is that values of the African National Congress in Limpopo remains intact. Of course, from time to time, members who are aggrieved are permitted to raise issues. And it's for the leadership to look into the issues that are raised by members.
Are you a member of the ANC Youth League in the province?
I am not. I'm a former member of the ANC Youth League in the province. I'm the provincial spokesperson of the ANC and the PC member.
Okay, I'm asking that because I thought I would ask you directly about the statement that they released, because they are saying that if Stanley Mathabatha is stepping down as provincial chair, then he should also resign as a member of parliament.
Look, the Youth League is an autonomous structure of the ANC. They have reserved the right to can say whatever their views they hold in their public platform. But as of now, you will notice that the matter is seized with the national leadership. Let's await what then becomes the outcomes of the national leadership after they would have processed the matter. As to whether he should resign also as member of parliament does not arise at this stage, because even in the letter of resignation, he only merely indicate that he's stepping aside as a leader and not as a representative of the ANC in parliament.
Okay. Look, thank you so much for making time for us. Let's see how the ANC will be responding to this, but I really appreciate your time. That's Jimmy Machaka, who is the ANC Limpopo spokesperson, chatting to us about this decision by the chair of the ANC in Limpopo, Stanley Mathabatha, to really step aside from his role, citing these issues that we've just spoken about. Let's move to this next story now. There's a recent report to New York by the social development officials that has sparked outrage. A news report has revealed that officials spent about 3 million rand on the trip at taxpayers' expense, raising questions about fiscal responsibility. This trip, undertaken by the Department of Social Development, has raised questions about government spending and accountability. And of course, there are other government departments that were also part of this trip. But we're speaking to the Social Development Department now. The Director General there is Peter Nechipale, who joins us now via video link. DG, thank you so much for making time for us. Good evening.
Good evening, Clement Manyatela and SABC listeners.
Did the Department of Social Development spend 1 million rand on the Deputy Director General for Welfare Services for this New York trip?
Let me just contextualize this because as you report, sometimes the report doesn't come clearly. This is an annual UN Commission on the status of women, which the Department of Social Development, Women and Youth and Persons with Disability, Education, and other departments go there on a yearly basis. The approach of this commission is very detailed and it takes a lot of time for the preparations. So we have sent 7 people to be part and parcel of this as other government department. And during that time, I think it was March, remember this is for March 2025, which is something that we have sent people there. Yes, indeed, it was expensive. But as you are aware that normally when business people sees that there will be a lot of conferences, even in Santen, they increase the price, the exchange rate was a little bit higher than normal. But comprehensively, we spend around that amount of money as a department. Not necessarily to say the DDG spent 1 million. No, it is not 1 million. It is just that the reporting approach was completely not right.
So how much did the Social Development Department spend on the DDG for this trip to New York?
Normally, if you look at all the issues in terms of the flight, the accommodation, and also the SNT, it comes to about 600, I think 609 or 607 as expenditure, which is something that during that time when it's expensive, we could accept it.
So you're saying that on one person as the Department of Social Development, you didn't spend 1 million rand, but for flights, for accommodation, for transfers, you spent about 600,000 rand for this one DDG to be able to attend this conference in New York.
Yeah, it's up to that level, yes.
My understanding is that the flight was about 200,000 rand. Why is that the case?
Now, Clement, if you look at the prices for flights, businesses to when you go overseas, it's too much. Even if in Africa, is very expensive. If you fly business class.
And I
So
looked at the
a
United
DDG
Airlines. I looked at United Airlines, for instance. I mean, at some point, the flight is going at 97,000 Rand business. So how do we get to 200,000 Rand?
No, it depends whether you are connecting or not connecting in terms of that. But in terms of the approach that we use, even that we is prescribed in our policies, even national treasury policies, businesses are expensive. They are expensive. They are
Yeah.
not as simple, cheap as that. Yeah.
But you must still decide as a department. I mean, if there's a 97,000 Rand business flight where you have to connect via Doha or Dubai, surely as a department, for a government that doesn't have money, that's actually the price tag that you go for, and not the price tag of almost 200,000 Rand because you want the direct flight. You take what's affordable.
Yes. Yes, but Clement, I've mentioned that during that time when we have got this commission on the status of women, you tend not to get anything, completely anything.
But you said you attend this on a yearly basis, DG. Why do you not plan in advance? People who want to deal with costs.
Of what you talk, my Clement?
I'm saying,
Continue.
people, if you are saying you have been attending this conference on a yearly basis, what you actually do is to actually look for flights in advance. And you realize that when you book way in advance because you know that there's a conference coming, then you end up not really spending as much as you would when you're booking closer to the date.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I agree with you that I think after that, that's what we then realize that the lessons learned is that we will need also to make sure that we do our things in time. But sometimes, fate, things happens, and we that's what we find ourselves into the situation.
What
Not
value-
that we are happy about it. It's
Yeah.
something that we're...
So in total, as a department, you've spent what, about 3 million Rand on this trip for all your 7 delegates?
Yes.
What's the value
yes.
for money?
Clement, the issue of the Commission on the Status of Women, when we go overseas, especially in the UN, South Africa, as a democratic country, has got a lot to teach. One, to teach other nations how democracy must be implemented in the country, how we are dealing with the issues of the status of women, and how we deal with how to empower women in terms of the poverty, in terms of social grants that we're giving, the gender-based violence. We have got a command center that we have, which we teach people. And most of the time when you go there, we are the talk of town. We are also learning from other international countries in terms of how you will need to implement what we have. That's why most of the times when we implement our programs, especially on women, we get recognized worldwide because we do an international approach in terms of how we deal with our system. There is a lot of value for money. There is also lessons that we learn, and there's also the issue where we make sure that even developing countries that are there are able to learn from us.
And you need 7 delegates to go and learn. You can't send 2 or 3 delegates because government doesn't have money, and those people can come back with a report and share whatever they've learned with everybody else in the department.
Yeah, the approach of these commissions, Clement, is totally different. You get a plenary, plus the parallel sessions, plus the events that, as a department, you are supposed to lead and guide and chair. In other words, you are supposed to be more than what it is. I think you're supposed to be more than that. So you will find that even the 7 people who said it's not enough, but that's what we could as a department. It's not us alone anyway. It's just that we are talking to me from social development. Several departments also do the same.
Which makes it even worse. I mean, if there are different departments that are sending I mean, I think the Department of Women sent about 5 delegates. The Department of Higher Education spent 1.6 million sending 5 delegates. Department of Women spent 2 million sending 5 delegates. You have spent 3 million sending 7 delegates. You are part of one government, and somehow you can't ration the resources and say, because we really don't have money, let's rather send 2 officials per department, and they can provide a report and come and report back. Isn't that a better way of rationing the resources as opposed to send 7, 5 from another department, another 5 from another department, as if these are not part of one government?
It is nicely said than done, because different departments represent different mandate. When you do that, different departments have got different mandate. Our mandate as social development is the biggest, which has got the issue of social protection, gender-based violence issue, substance abuse, and also the rights of women. So there's a lot of issues, topics that we deal with in conferences of this nature.
Yeah, but the Department of International Relations has also advised you, as departments attending these international events, to keep your delegations at a minimum, because the fiscus is under severe pressure. And I suppose that's the point I'm trying to make, that with a fiscus that is under pressure, it doesn't make sense to say, okay, send 7 people from social development, send 5 people from Department of Women, 5 people from Department of Higher Education. If really the fiscus is constrained, then you make compromises. You cut that by half. I want to quickly get your response on Lumka Oliphant, the spokesperson for Social Development Department. She has been suspended. She says that she has been suspended because you suspect that she is the one that leaked this information about the trip to New York to the media. Why have you suspended her?
The Lumka, with regard to Lumka Oliphant, she was suspended on a precautionary nature, because we want to investigate the findings of the AGS with regard to the AGSA has got a finding on one of the procurement on the contracts that she was managing, and its finding requires that we investigate that matter, and that is precautionary. We do that in terms of the law.
Right.
You need to ask someone to go home, and then so that you can investigate. She was not investigated because she leaked the information. This information that I'm giving you is on a parliamentary question.
Okay, got it. Yeah.
Nobody leaked it.
Peter Nechi,
so it's not.
Apologies there, but I'm completely out of time. But I think you've responded to the question. Thank you so much for making time for us. That's the DG at the Social Development Department. Thanks to you for watching the Tuesday edition of Face the Nation. See you on Thursday at 8 p.m. Have a good evening. Cheers.